it is just a day until New Jersey voters head to the polls to elect the next governor. The race between Democrat Mikie Sherrill and Republican Jack Ciattarelli has drawn national attention, with both campaigns making a final push to connect with voters. Joining us this morning to talk about the closing hours of the campaign is Phil Alagia, Essex County Chief of Staff and a surrogate for Mikie Sherrill. Good morning to you, Phil. Good to have you on.
Hey, Ken, great to be on. And I hope I can be as positive about Mikey's campaign as Mike was with the weather, because it's a gorgeous day outside.
Well, absolutely. And I talked to Micah Rasmussen about this. There are 3 different polls in the last 5 days. All show the race comes down to about a point. And it says the margin of error in each case is 2 points. So suggesting it could go either way. But the one thing I pointed out with Micah Rasmussen is in every case, you have Mikie Sherrill, the person who is 1 point ahead. So that is extremely significant. While at the same time, you could say, all right, with 855,000 extra registered Democrats in the state, she should be 7 points ahead. Where do you look at it at this point? Do you just think it's just going to come down to a neck and neck race and everybody has to get out and vote?
I think it always comes down to who's going to come out and vote. But there was also a Fox poll that came out 2 days ago that has up 7 points. And there's another poll that came out, I'm not sure, Quinnipiac, I think she was up 6 points. The thing to remember, Ken, there's been 47 public polls. I've had access to internal polls, and every one, Mikie Sherrill has been ahead. Every one, Jack Ciattarelli doesn't get near 50% plurality. Listen, I think we're in a great state. New Jersey the race is in a great state. We're in a great blue state in New Jersey. I think there has to be a rush, a surge of Republican voters for a Republican any year to have a chance. And there's nothing that we see going on that indicates that that's going to happen Tuesday. Ultimately, it's about Democrats and people who are supporting Mikie coming out to vote. But I'm very confident that come tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we're going to have Governor-elect Mikie Sherrill.
Phil, what would you say the key issues are that seem to resonate the most?
I mean, if you're watching the ads, it's cost and cost of living. They're all talking about tax hikes and lowering your costs. That's what people right now are hurting the most with, is paying bills, affordability. And both campaigns have made that a central part of the argument of why they should be governor. It's who they believe more. You know, the fact that Trump is in the White House and we have a Democratic administration here makes it hard to blame only one party. So I think that's to the advantage of Mikie. Obviously, people in New Jersey want an affordable state. They want their costs low. They want their kids educated. They want to be able to buy a home and live here. And that's what Mikey's been talking about since day one.
Yeah. And, you know, the one thing, Phil, that I find funny, because I commute to a lot of states. I live between New Jersey and Florida. I do pay taxes in New Jersey, by the way, just to make that clear. I'm not one of those people who says, oh, I'm a full-time resident of Florida and don't pay. I do pay my taxes here. But the one thing that I find funny is if you get out of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, you go to another state, you find that the expenses are low, much lower. Even Democrat states outside of the Northeast, by the way, I'm not saying only Republican states, but I've gone to Democrat states outside of this region. It's just very expensive to live here. And so I think that impacts a lot of people. And then that's why so many, when they retire, they're like, I've had it. I'm leaving. I can't afford to be here anymore. And I think you nailed it when you talked about the expenses. The question is, can the Republicans, the Republican candidate Jack Ciattarelli, and now with 24 hours left, pin the expenses, the cost of energy, the cost of taxes, et cetera, on the Democrats? And what I've been saying here, I don't make any secret of my politics. I say, look, you have a state that has a Democrat governor, Democrat assembly, Democrat Senate. Even the Supreme Court has a majority Democrat appointees. 9 of the 12 Congress members, both senators, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I think, like, of the 15 top largest cities, most of them are Democrat mayors. If the Republican can't make that point, then the Republican doesn't deserve to win, period. And that I don't know that I've heard that being made. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that should have been the mantra right there, what I just said, if you want to convince the other side or convince your own side to come out and vote for you. Am I wrong with that?
Absolutely not. I mean, the question was, do they have time to change the message? No, with 24 hours, with less than 24 hours to go before polls open, you know, we've already had over 1 million votes cast in the state of New Jersey because of early voting and vote by mail. So it's impossible right now to change the narrative. Yeah, I think that when Jack Ciattarelli early on talked about, hey, and again, I understand he was talking about a policy and an idea that we should consider a sales tax increase. It's not what New Jersey wants to hear, and it's something that the Mikie Sherrill campaign capitalized on. There's been a few gaffes, that have really hurt him propel himself to leadership, to actually say, hey, New Jersey is beautiful once you get outside of the cities. I mean, that's something candidates shouldn't say, and it's a gap that really hurt him in politics, in getting elected. So, of course, both sides are talking about taxes, keeping expenses low, keeping people's affordability is the most important issue in New Jersey. There's no way you're going to distinguish yourself in the next 24 hours. That's why Mikie Sherrill has the lead. It's a Democratic state, and I don't see any scenario where she doesn't come out tomorrow as the next governor-elect of New Jersey.
And you're in the county that I lived in for the majority of my time in New Jersey. I'm born and raised in New York, but Joe DiVincenzo used to be my neighbor, so he's my buddy.
Ken, I always appreciated when we had events in Essex County. You were always there to cover the cherry blossoms or the runs, and
Yep.
we've met a handful of times, so we always appreciated that. And the funny thing is, you talk about living in two states. I went to college at Rutgers Newark. I've never left Essex County. Always been in Essex County, and I kind of regret not spending time in other places. But as Joe said, I always put Essex County first. And we talk about early vote and all that. We believe, based on the number of Democratic people who've already come out to vote in Essex County, we're already ahead 50 or 60,000 votes in Essex County. Based on, again, we don't know if Democratic voters are voting Democrat based on the party registration. So I think we come into tomorrow with a huge lead that's going to be very hard for Jack Ciattarelli to overcome. But you still have to come out and vote. If you haven't voted, make sure you vote.
Amen. But you're right. And Republicans don't get that. It's like Democrats learned the early voting thing early on, and Republicans just seem very reticent to early vote. In Florida, anybody for any reason can get, because I'm there 6 months of the year. I vote in Florida, not in New Jersey. Anybody can get a ballot, an absentee. It's not even an absentee ballot. It's just a ballot. They don't call it an absentee ballot. And you could vote remotely. No questions asked. There is no issue. That's how I vote for Florida, because I don't know that week if I'm going to be New Jersey or Florida. So I always make sure I have my ballot. So I do not vote in New Jersey. I always make that clear. I can only vote, obviously, in one place. But
I think
do
that's good for Mikie Sherrill. I'm happy for Mikie Sherrill that you're voting in Florida.
But I will tell you, my husband does vote in New Jersey, so there we go. We tend to cancel each other out. So there you have it. But it is good to see you, and I love my Essex County. I will always love Essex County, in spite of the fact that I'm in Morris County right now. But it's a great place.
I love what you guys are doing, because it's so important for government that we have people reporting on what's happening in New Jersey and locally. And I think that the more and more that goes away, the worse and worse it's going to be for transparency and for keeping government accountable. So, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for reporting on the local New Jersey stuff. And
we appreciate it. Phil, you're always welcome back on, my friend. And tell Joe I said hello, please. It's good to see you.
You got it.
My best. All right. Phil Alagia, the Essex County Chief of Staff and Surrogate for Mikie Sherrill. God bless you. Thanks for seeing you today.